All right, let's do it. We're going to generate a federated data set in two different S3 buckets, and we're going to generate the data in such a way that the data in one bucket correlates to another, so it's useful for analytical purposes. I'm working with min.io here just to keep it local and fast on the disk, but obviously this works exactly the same way if you were using S3. So I have two different buckets here. They are both empty, products and reviews. We're going to have some products, which basically are things that we sell, and then reviews, which will be specific products that we are saying are good and bad. And the interesting thing is that the review will obviously correlate to the data in the different product bucket. So as I said, both of these are empty. We're going to populate that data now. So I'm going to go grab my ShadowTraffic file to be able to do this. It is a simple file just to get the point across, and you can make this as complex as you like. But I have two different generators here. I have a products generator and a reviews generator, and they're going to go independently to those buckets. They are both formatted with JSON-L for readability reasons, and then the data is really simple to get the point across. So I have this data field that says what is in each segment of data in each object. To keep it simple, I have a product ID, which is just a UUID, and then a name just for fun. And then I'm going to generate a bunch of different reviews here. So here's my data key. I have generated a review ID just to give these individuality. And then here's the important part. The product that I'm reviewing is obtained by using ShadowTraffic's lookup function. We say, go look up data in the S3 bucket that is products, and then go drill in and grab data under the path key and then inside the product ID. And so this corresponds actually, this bucket corresponds to this bucket name, and then this path, we go drill into the data key and then drill into the product ID and grab this UUID, and it will inline it right here so that we don't need to think about how the data actually synchronizes. I give it a rating just for fun. And then as I mentioned, we configure this for min.io just so we keep it local on the disk and really easy to use. So I'm going to generate the data with S3. I'm going to generate 1,000 samples. We could let it stream in forever. I could cap the number of products. I could do whatever I like, but I'm just going to keep this really simple for demo purposes. If I refresh the page and I go look at the buckets, I have two different files in each. ShadowTraffic will split your objects as it goes so that each object doesn't get too large. And so if I look, I could see in the products bucket, I could go hit share, and I'm going to curl and see what's actually inside of here. So curl, look at this URL, and here I have my product IDs and I have the product names. That looks really good. And then ditto, I'm going to go to the reviews page, reviews bucket, go grab a URL from there as well, and then go say, do the same here. So if I curl that, I see the review IDs, which is what I set up. And then these product IDs, they are not random. They correspond to the IDs that are already generated in the products bucket. And if I generated a small enough sample of data, you could visually verify this. But what's actually very useful, especially if your data is more complicated, is to use ShadowTraffic Studio, which is a visual debugger for confirming what your data actually looks like. And so I'm going to show that right now. I'm going to turn off networking and then open up port 8080 onto 9876. I'm going to say, give me 20 samples, send them to standard out. We're going to watch this file for changes and then use the with studio flag to open up ShadowTraffic Studio. So I'll launch that. It prints out the data. That looks good. And then I'm going to open a browser tab. And as I mentioned, go on to port 9876. If I go and resave my file to sort of kick off the process again, ShadowTraffic Studio, as I mentioned, is a visual debugger. It opens up my data set and shows me the data that is generated in order. So this is the first event, the second event, the third event, and so on. And I can look and I can actually see the data that you saw in the terminal. But really critically, what I can do is look at any of these reviews and say, show origins, and it will tell me exactly where its derived data comes from. So if I grab, say, this 13th event, and I look and I see that this is a rating of 3 stars, and I go and I look at the product ID, it's 88576. Where did that come from? That came from the 8th event, and you can actually see it traced through. Over here, this is the awesome rubber clock, and I can bounce back and forth and look at the derivations of how this data actually stitches together. So this is very useful as your data becomes more complex, and you want to verify whether there's a problem on the data side or a problem on the analytical operational side. And yeah, this is an easy way to generate these federated data sets, scales up and down, works for all different kinds of data.